Hi, my curious learners. So once again, welcome back to the grammar sessions, and you are at your own learning platform, Learn Forward, with your grammar book, the Grammar Hub for Grade 6 by Feathercap. Today, we are going to learn something about subject-verb agreement. This is chapter 15 of your book. What is subject-verb agreement? What do you understand by this? Subject-verb agreement. We have learnt about tenses, where we learnt the formation of verbs in simple present tense. Sometimes we are using s, es, sometimes we are not using. So what is that? You have to take care about the subject, whether it is singular or plural. When you talk about pronouns, you have to take care whether it is first person, second person or third person before you use the form of verb. So this is what we mean by subject verb agreement. If you are using past tense, what form of verb should you use? So this is all about subject verb agreement, and we have different rules to follow while making an agreement between the subject and the verb. So let's start about them. So let's have a reconnect exercise for you here first from your past learning. We have an exercise. Tick the sentences which are correct according to the form of verb or tense used in them and cross the wrong ones. So the first sentence says he has done it perfectly. Is it right? Grammatically, looking at the tenses, the rules, is it? Yes, it is right. So let's put a tick here. She swam in the pond. What is this? We are using verb, but it's not giving any sense. It's not in its correct form. So this is wrong. Next, I go to school regularly. Perfect, right. Next, they do not know how to play baseball. Is it correct? Yes, fine. How about saying they does not go? It will be wrong. Good. So this is called the subject verb agreement. The rules that you have learned till now, you have been following. You have to make sure that we have to be careful about them. Rita show a lot of patience even in the tense situation. Is it right? How? Look at the verb. Look at the subject. The subject Rita is singular. Yes. So your verb should be with S. So is it right now? This is called subject-verb agreement, that the verb should go in agreement hand to hand with the subject. And what all? Let's start our journey ahead. What all you have to check when you are trying to put a verb in a sentence? What do you have to check about the subject? You have to check the number, you have to check the person, you have to check the gender also when you are talking about agreement in any sense. Like if we are talking about pronouns, we have to look at the gender also, right? So this is what we mean by agreement. Now the verb must agree with the subject in number. The first thing is number. If your subject is singular, you have to be careful about using the verb. So when it is present tense, we tell you that if the subject is singular, the verb will carry ses. If the subject is plural, the verb will not carry ses. So that is consideration of the number in subject. So what you have to see, you have to be very careful. Normally we place the verb just next to the subject, but then sometimes it is placed away from the subject. In that cases, you need to be more careful. Let's read these sentences. One of the boys in our class is very talented. The teachers admire him. So we are talking about teachers in plural. We are not using s with the verb. We are talking about only one of the boys in the class. So we are saying the verb in singular, that is. So this is what we have learned with is, are, am the difference, was, were the difference, use of ses with the verb in simple present tense. There we have to be more careful. Now what you have to remember is the number and person of the subject determines the form of the verb to be used. The number, person, gender, they also play an important role in the selection of personal pronouns. I just told you while starting this topic. And then this is what we mean by agreement, right? It can be agreement of pronoun, it can be agreement of subject and verb. And while doing tenses, I told you that was an amazing fact that by adding s to the singular nouns, we make them plural. But by adding s to the verbs, we make them singular. So this is something you have to always remember, that a verb becomes singular by adding ses to it, right? Whereas a noun becomes plural when you add ses to it. Girl becomes girls, that means many, it is plural. But read becomes reads, which we use with the singular subject, so it is the singular verb. Now, what rules we have to remember? Usually the verb is placed very close to its subject, I just told you. So let us see the example when it is placed away from the subject. The condition of these villages. Now, what are we talking about, children? Are we talking about the villages, or we are talking about the condition? We are talking about the condition, which is singular. So your verb will be singular here. See, your subject is here, but your verb is here. This is called when the verb is away from the subject. You have to be very careful, because if you just see, oh, I have to put a verb here. Okay, this is villages. Quickly you write are. No, go thoughtful in deciding which verb is to be placed, right? Now, normally the verb is placed after the subject, but what when your sentence starts with there? In that case, your subject comes after the verb. So, we have to focus whenever you see a sentence starting with there. So, we have to focus on the subject which is after the verb. Suppose I say, there is a book on my table. And I say, there are boys playing in the field. So both the sentences I am starting with there, but in one I am saying is because my book is singular. In the other I am saying are because boys is plural. So this is what we have to follow. There are 11 players. It is plural, so we are using are. There is no patient. This is singular, so we are using is. Right? These are easy things. Yes. So what are the rules for the subject verb agreement? The first rule is about use of and. Suppose we are talking about two words joined with and that is together making your subject in the sentence. So your verb will be plural because this and this together, when you see they are two, they are plural. So we are using the plural verb. Garima and Mahima are here. She and her classmate. Again, we are talking about two, one and one. They are two. So we are using plural verb have arrived. Right? If two singular nouns refer to the same person, for example, if I talk about my teacher and guide, so you are talking about the same person, she is your teacher also, she is your mentor also. So that means just one person we are talking about. That is why we are using is here. But if I use the determiner repeatedly, if I repeat the determiner and I say my teacher and my guide, that means they are two different people, and it becomes a plural subject which will carry are. So I'll say my teacher and my guide are here. Right? Got the difference? By the death of Nehru, a great leader and patriot, because Nehru ji, he was a leader also, he was a patriot also. So we say this will be your singular verb because both these are referring to one singular subject only. Next, if yes, you are using and, but still the two subjects being referred to, they are actually referring to one only. It is giving an idea of one, right? It is giving you a single idea. In that case, you will use singular verb. How? Suppose I say rice and curry, or rajma and rice is my favorite dish, because I am talking about both together as one dish. So I say rajma and rice is my favorite dish. Because this whole together is giving you a single idea of one dish, right? I can also say bread and butter. is not a healthy breakfast. Because that makes just one single dish for you in the breakfast, isn't it? This here the idea is just one unit, right? So bread and butter is not a healthy breakfast. But what if I say bread and butter dash lying in the basket? So now here also, do you mean that it is giving the same single idea? No, because here they are two independent units. So bread and butter, we are talking about them individually, are lying in the basket. Clear? So the same thing when it is giving as a single idea, one idea, it takes a singular verb. If it happens to be two different ideas, then it takes the plural verb. This is the role of and conjunction in the subject. Let's read the examples here. The horse and carriage. So together it is there, is at the door. So it is one unit only, one single idea. The long and short of the matter. So here again, we are talking it as one idea only. So we are using the singular verb here. Coming to next, if the singular subjects are preceded by each or every. So these are taking singular verbs with them always, like each day and each night. They are taking each with them. It will be was full of anxiety. Every farmer, potter and carpenter. We are talking about them as individual units. So we'll be saying was present, right? When the subjects joined by or, nor are of different persons, what then? If you are using or, nor, and the two subjects used there are of different persons, number. My aunt is singular, my uncle, this is also singular. So we are making a choice here. We are not saying and, we are saying or. So in this case, we will be using singular is arriving tomorrow, because just one of them will be coming. But what when the number is different? My sister or her children. Now here what do you see? Children is plural, but my sister is singular. So we will be using are, which will depend on the subject which is closer to the verb. If the same sentence I say children and their mother. Now, children is plural, but it is away from the verb. The closer subject is mother. So, mother is singular. It will be children or their mother is arriving tomorrow. Clear? So, it depends on which subject is nearer to the verb. Next, two or more singular subjects connected by neither nor, or either or. They take a singular verb with them. Neither he nor I. So here what do you see? He, I, both are singular. We are using here was prepared, right? Either Ravi or Anuj. Again, we are connecting using either or, but both of them are singular. So we are taking here the singular verb. But what? When the two subjects are different in person or they are different in number. So if one of the subjects is in plural, the verb must be plural. And what you will see, that it should be placed closer to the verb, like either Ankit or his sisters. So one is singular, one is plural, but the plural is placed near the verb and we use plural verb there. Neither Madhu nor her friends. Again, the plural is placed nearer to the verb, closer to the verb. So it will take the plural verb here when the number is different. So singular or plural. When a subject differing in number or person or both are connected by and, what will you do? So if we have different numbers or different persons, we will be using the plural verb. So if I say he or I will say are at home. I will not say am. Right? You and I. Here, in fact, with you also we use have, I also we use have. So it makes no difference. You and I have fulfilled. But I'm sure when you say this, he and I, you are, you might be in a habit of saying am here. So you have to correct that when they are connected in different persons, different number, we use plural verb with it, right? What about a collective noun? It takes a singular verb when we are talking it as a unit, as one unit together. So that means we are talking about the strength of that collection, right? For example, the committee has agreed to our proposal. So it is the entire committee that has agreed. So it is behaving like one single unit because they have unanimously together they have come at the decision of accepting the proposal. But a plural verb is used if they are individually broken. That means they are together not on one opinion. So if you say a number of pupils of the class, so here we are talking about number of pupils of the class, not the class, we are talking about the number of pupils. So it will carry verb with it, right? With the collective noun, if I say the committee agreed to our proposal, here they have agreed on one, so they are coming up together. But if they do not agree, we say the committee were split on the decision. That means there was a point on which together they could not come to the same decision. So they were split into units, not as one together, right? Not as a collective noun. Coming to next, nouns which are plural in form but singular in meaning. They take singular verb with it, of course. News. We do not say news are, we say newses because that is the singular noun we have learnt in singular plural. Politics, mathematics. So these appear to be plural, but then actually they are singular. They'll carry singular verb with them. Pronouns each, everyone, everybody, either, neither. They take singular verb because we have learned that they are actually singular pronouns. Each of the bananas is ripe. Neither of the girls was trained. So these words, they take singular verbs with them. Words joined to a singular subject by with, together with, as well as. Yes, in these cases, you take the verb according to the first word in the subject, right? So if you have the captain with his retinue, so captain we will be considering because captain is singular, so we'll say has arrived. Harbhajan as well as Zahir. So here we have to consider Harbhajan, not anything else. So was present, right? Coming to next, class names such as furniture, stationery, etc. So they are all considered as one unit. Again, they take singular verb with it. They take a singular verb. For example, the furniture is up for sale. The stationery is cheap. Although there are many items in it, children, but still we consider it as it is. We are talking of it as one unit. So it will take singular verb. A pair of, when applied to things like, we say a pair of scissors, a pair of spectacles, a pair of shoes, trousers, whatever. So two components are always thought of together. You cannot think of a pair of scissors with just one blade. So we are considering them together as one unit. So we use singular verb here. The pair of shoes is expensive because we do not buy one shoe at a time, right? So we always buy it as a unit. So what you have to remember here, how when we omit the words a pair of. So if in place of you say, in place of a pair of shoes, you say shoes, then you will say shoes are expensive because actually we are talking about pair which is singular. We are not just talking about shoes here, right? So it can be taken as the rule, first rule, where your verb is away from the subject, right? So my spectacles, if you say, you will say my spectacles are missing. But if you say my pair of spectacles, then you will say is missing. Some more rules ahead. When a plural number applies to distance, yes, it talks about height, weight, etc. then again children, here we are talking about it as a whole and it is treated as single unit, so we'll be taking singular verb with it. So 1 million rupees, we are talking about this amount as 1 unit. So 1 million rupees is a lot of money. 10 kilos of rice costs 500 rupees. So we are talking about 10 kilos of rice as 1 unit, singular. So we will be using here costs, right? Because singular verb carries S with it. Next, many. Many means we are talking about something in plural. So it will take plural verb. Many refers to number and it is plural. But much refers to quantity. It will take singular verb with it. Many of the apples were rotten, but much of the wheat was saved. Much of the time is utilized. Okay. So many will take plural verb and much will take singular verb. Going ahead, fractions. Yes, when we talk of fractions and they are in reference to some quantity, then we take it as singular and we will be using singular verb there because the quantity cannot be counted, right? But when we talk about a fraction in terms of something which is countable, we talk about something in number, then we take plural verb with it, like 2/3 of the clothes. So we are talking about a fraction of clothes and clothes are countable. So we will be using plural verb here, are mine. But when I talk about 2/5 of her free time, so is time countable? No. I'm using fraction in terms of something which is uncountable. So here it will carry a singular verb with it, is spent in social work. I hope this is clear to you. Everything, each point. Well, let's see how much you have grabbed from the session. Choose the verb that agrees with the subject in each sentence. So you have to say the rule every time you pick out a verb. Okay. My father with his 2 children dash waiting outside to meet you. What is the rule? See this, with. We talked about with as well as, along with. When you have these words, we just focus on this part of the subject, which is singular. So what will come here? Is. This is how saying each rule you are going to pick the verb. Everyone in his family. The rule says whenever there is everyone, it takes singular verb. And the singular verb is it with S or without S? It is with S, just the opposite of singular nouns. Yes, the great poet and scholar. What does this rule say? We are talking about the same person or 2 different personalities? Same. That means singular verb has. Right? So this is how you will be doing. Either you or I. So what we learned, when they are connected with either or, we take the singular verb and here it will be yes. But we also learned when the person is different or when the number is different, then what do you use, children? Then we use plural verb. So what will come here? Are is the correct word, right? Next, the songs of this film dash very sweet. Are you talking about film in this or you are talking about songs? Songs, of course, which is plural. So what is the correct one? Are. So is it easy to do that way? Can I leave the next 5 sentences for you to do yourselves? Are you sure you can do them? That's nice, children. So that gives you confidence. If you have understood the points well, you'll definitely go correct. And if not, I'm there to help you out. Okay, so it's time to recall what we have learned in the session. In a sentence, a verb must agree with its subject. This agreement in relation to number, whether the subject is singular, plural. Sometimes it is in relation to person also, like with I, we use am. Right? Now, the number and person of the subject determines the form of verb to be used in the sentence. We have done so many rules. The singular subject takes a singular verb which carries SES with it in simple present tense. And the condition that determines the selection of different words in a sentence, that is called agreement. It can be a noun-pronoun agreement. It can be a subject-verb agreement. When a noun shows possession, it is said to be in the possessive case. So it's not a point of adding SES to it. So it's time for you to practice to perfect. Here's an MCQ exercise for you. Take the correct answer. That little girl is my sister. Am is used only with? Yes, I. Next, what do we use for are in past tense? So what is the past form of are? Were. Perfect. Yes, it's here. There dash some flowers. So we are talking about flowers. This is plural. So what is the plural form here? Are. Yes. Have shows possession. So have is not correct, although it's plural. Mahima along with her son. So when we use along with, when we use as well as, when we use only with, what do we look at? The first word in the subject, which is singular. So which verb will come here? Is the correct answer. Good. Let's move to the next exercise. Correct and rewrite the following sentences. Are stationery available here? We learned that stationery, furniture, they are talked about as unit. So it is singular. Very good. Yes, you are right. It will be is the stationery available here. My grandfather have a large farm. You got it correct. Grandfather is singular. 1000 years make a millennium. So we are talking about years which are countable here. So we'll be taking plural verb. The news. Yes, the words, they sound plural, but actually they are singular. So you will be using was here. Just don't go by the way you have always been saying. Go with the rule also why we are making the change. Each of them, each takes a singular verb. Say like that. Your answers are coming correct, but you have to say the rule first. My 4 cousins as well as their mother. So when it is as well as, we are focused on the first part, which is plural. So the verb will be plural. This way you have to say. The members of the Panchayat Samiti. So are we talking about the Panchayat Samiti or we are talking about its members? Members, right? So it will be have decided, right? And suppose here we just talk about the Panchayat Samiti, although it is a collective noun, but it is working as one unit. So we will say have decided to construct. Then it will be Panchayat Samiti has decided, right? The skipper along with his teammates, along with. So you will focus on first part, which is singular. You are right. It will be was. Either you or I. The persons are different and you are connecting them using either or. So it will take plural verb. So either you or I are going to buy some rice. Yes, this is correct. There is no mistake in this. Because we have learned when we are connecting the subjects using either or, neither nor, and they vary in person or they vary in number, then we will be taking plural verb with them, children, right? So this sentence is correct. Neither Anaya nor her friend are interested to play table tennis. So here we are talking about single unit, single number. Anaya is 1, her friend is also 1. So we will not take plural verb. We will say singular verb is interested, right? Easy thing to go. And I think by so much of repetition for each of the exercises, each sentence, you would have learned most of the rules, children. So keep learning the rules that way, keep practicing them. We'll be coming up with more interesting sessions in Grammar with Mini. Till then, happy learning, children.